Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to share the slide. So in the last turn, we have discussed the inheritance case study. So we have, I think, already discussed the use of super keyword. Can anyone tell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I hope NetBeans is visible or not. NetBeans IDE.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So actually today class is online class and the next class is on Wednesday, that is in hybrid mode. Okay. On Wednesday 3 to 5. So we have discussed the inheritance, and I think we have already seen what is the significance of super keyword is. So if you see this example, I'm going to tell you one important feature here. Suppose if you see this program, so I have created a employee class, that is employee 3 I have written here because I have already created employee 1 and employee 2 in the same package. So there is a conflict in the name of employee class. So I have written here the employee 3. And there are three variables or three fields are there, the ID, name and salary. And so in order to initialize ID, name and salary of employee 3 class, so there are two choices. Either you can initialize ID, name and salary with the help of mutator or setter method, or you can initialize ID, name and salary with the help of constructor, parameterized constructor. So I have chosen the second way, that is with the help of parameterized constructor. I have initialized all the field here. So this is very simple. So here you can see that there are two constructors there. One is no parameterized constructor, or yeah, you can say that no argument constructor basically. And this is parameterized constructor. I just delete this. I just delete this constructor or comment this. Uh, Suppose I just comment this employee constructor. Okay. Now, so in inheritance, if suppose there is a class that is lawyer class which extends the employee 3. So if lawyer class extends the employee 3 class, so what it actually inherits from the employee class, so it inherits the field as well as method, not constructor here. Okay, method as well as various fields are inherited in lawyer class. So here, if lawyer extends the employee 3, so ID, name and salary are inherited. Okay. Now, suppose there is an extra field because lawyer inherits the ID, name and salary. And suppose in lawyer class, there is one extra field that is bonus. Okay. There is a one extra field that is bonus in lawyer class. So how to initialize all the field for lawyer, because lawyer already inherited the ID, name and salary. So just create, I have created a lawyer constructor. So here there are four fields: ID, name, salary and bonus. So because lawyer is having four fields, three are inherited from employee and one extra field. This is the extra field. Okay. And three are inherited from employee. So in order to initialize all these four fields, we need to create a parameterized constructor. Okay, no problem. But when you write like this, lawyer class constructor, there is a problem. What is the problem here? So in the case of inheritance, if you create, just listen carefully. if you create child class object with the help of child class constructor, so implicitly first parent class constructor should be created. जब आप चाइल्ड क्लास का कंस्ट्रक्टर क्रिएट करते हो तो इम्प्लिसिटली पहले पेरेंट क्लास का कंस्ट्रक्टर इन्वोक हो जाएगा और पेरेंट क्लास का ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट होगा. सॉरी, पेरेंट क्लास constructor is invoked and then parent class object is created. It means when you create the lower class object, so employee class object is implicitly created. Okay, it means if you call the lower class constructor, so parent class constructor is by default called. Okay, so but here in this case you can see that an error is generated. This is error is generated, means I just remove this line and error is generated. Okay, error is generated. So in the main class I just create the lower class object with the help of parameterized constructor of lower class. So there are 4 parameters are there. 20 is for ID, Amit is for name, to 20,000 corresponding to salary and 500 corresponding to bonus. And when you create the lower class object, so first the parent class object is created. But in order to create the parent class object, it means a parent class no argument constructor is called. So just, but in this case there is no argument constructor is there. There is no argument constructor or default constructor is there. यहाँ पर कोई भी default constructor नहीं है. So if I create the default constructor, if I create the default constructor here, this is like a default constructor, and if I write here system dot out dot println, employee object is created. Employee object is created. Okay. And okay. So now if you create the no argument constructor, then the error is removed. Then the error is removed if it means if you call if you create the lower object and if you run the program, so before the creation of lower object, actually the employee object is created. Okay, employee object is created. It means first the employee object is created, then only the lower object is created. Means if I just here copy this particular line and write here lower class, lower object is created. And if I run the program, you can see that the first the employee object is created, then only the lower object is created. Okay, because lower class inherits or extends the employee class after only the object is created. Lower class can only inherit the features of employee class after the creation of employee object only. Okay, but here suppose ये नहीं है, suppose there is no argument constructor is not there, then there is a problem. There is a problem. Here the error is generated. And one more thing is there are ID, name and salary and bonus. So here you can see that in the employee constructor, this dot ID equal to ID, this dot name equal to name, this dot salary equal to salary. And these 3 lines are copied here. These 3 lines are redundant in the lower. And basically inheritance support the code reusability feature. Inheritance supports the code reusability feature. So how can we use here this code reusability feature? So what we can do here, we can interact with the superclass method as well as superclass constructor with the help of super keyword. So if I write here super, okay, and in play ID and name is the second parameter and salary is the third parameter, which is common to all. And if I write here this super ID, name and salary, it means the parent class constructor is called. And with the help of parent class constructor is this dot ID is executed, this dot name is executed, and this dot salary is executed. And in the 4th line, bonus is also initialize. Okay, so here with the help of super keyword, we can invoke the parent class constructor. Okay, so this is the significance of super keyword in the case of constructor. So it means super keyword can also use to invoke parent class method, as well as super keyword is also used to invoke parent class constructor. Okay, so this is significance. So I think we have discussed the inheritance concept. Now one thing is left, that is the access specifier feature. Okay, I just stop sharing the, okay, I think the screen is shared. Okay, I just slide is visible or not? Can anyone tell? The slide is visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. So just see here. Sorry, access specifier. Access specifier. Actually, access specifier is applied before the data members and methods. Okay, means access specifier can be used before the data as well as method. And why access specifier are required? In order to provide security at different level. Okay. Now, so there are three types of access specifier are there, and in Java there is one more access specifier, that is default. Okay. However, default is not a keyword here, but public, private, and protected is a keyword. Okay. So if you declare any data as well as method as public, okay, acha, actually how we defines the access limit or access specifier scope. So there are actually 4 ways where we can compare all these 4 access specifier. So here the first one is accessible inside the class. Accessible inside the class means, accessible inside the class is very limited. Yeah, you can say that actually here you can not provide security, because class member can access another member, should access another member. Okay, so here in this case, the accessible inside the class, so here you can say that in all the 4 cases the yes is marked. It means if you declare any data as well as method as either public, protected, or private, or default, in all the 4 cases you can access the data as well as method within the class. So there is no problem. Means within the class there is a freedom. Okay, within the class there is a freedom, means the members and data can be accessed within the class irrespective of its access specifier. No problem. But in the second case, accessible within the subclass inside the same package. Accessible within the subclass means there is a class A, and suppose there is a class B which inherits the A. Means B class extends the class A, and both class A and B belongs to a package, same package. Both class belongs to same package. Suppose. Actually, what is package? Package is the collection of classes here. So in package there are various classes are there, and there various interfaces are also there, but here the interface discuss nahi hua. The package will basically consist of several classes. So suppose there are 2 classes A and B. A is the parent class, B is the child class. In this case, if the member is declared as public, someone mic is on, I think. Okay. If the member is declared as public, no problem. Okay. If the member is public, so there is no problem. You can access the public member from anywhere. From anywhere means either inside the class, outside of the class, outside within the subclass, and even outside the package also. So basically you can see that in the case of public there is no problem. अगर आप किसी प्रॉब्लम में नहीं पढ़ना चाह रहे हैं, तो you can declare the member as public. But actually when you declare all the member as public, so there is a problem of security. But in that case, it is basically convenient for the programmer, but it is not the recommended way to declare all the method as well as all the data as public. Okay. Now, if you see the protected, so if you declare any data member as protected or method as protected, so you can use the data member and method within the subclass. Means in the case of inheritance, you can declare the method and data part as protected. अगर आप inheritance लेते हैं तो protected एक अच्छा choice होगा, because if you declare the data as and method as protected, method as protected, so the child class can access that easily within the same package. But outside of the package, you cannot directly access it if the member is protected. But चूंकि protected inheritance की बहुत अच्छी choice होती है, means अगर आप inheritance कर रहे हैं तो you can choose the protected. Why? Because you can access the protected data and protected method even outside of the package also, but you need to inherit that particular class. So accessible within the subclass outside of the package. Outside of the package means, suppose if you see this example, A and B is the class, A is the superclass, B is the child class or subclass, and suppose both class belongs to different package. This may be possible. Both class belongs to different package. Even in this particular case, if both belongs to different package, but B can access the data and methods of class A if the methods and data are declared as protected. But अगर inheritance नहीं है तो you cannot access the data and methods if it declared as protected outside of the package. You cannot access it. Okay. So here, if you compare protected with public, so public is less secure as compared to protected. But here you can see that in the case of protected, there are in 3 cases, there are feasibilities, but in one case you cannot access it. Okay, only in one case, means outside of the package you cannot access this. But outside of the package, अगर inheritance है तब access कर सकते हैं. Now come to the private. Private is the most restricted access specifier. Private is the most restricted access specifier. In here, if you declare any data and method as private, so you can access it inside the class only. Okay, means within the class you can declare the private. Means suppose if you declare any data as private, so it means you can access the data within the class only. If you declare any method as private, so you can access the method within the class only. Okay, so the thing is, is there any significance of declaring method and data as private if it is only accessible within the class? So actually there is one benefit. Actually, in order to provide the data heading, it is recommended that the data part should be private, so that the outside class from the outside class, anyone cannot access the data directly. Data को directly access ना किया जा सके. Data can be accessed through some public method. And public method में आप जितने data को आप access देना चाहते हो उस data को दोगे. उतना ठीक है. So with the help of public method, you can access that private data. Okay. So this is the private access specifier. And if you do not declare any access specifier explicitly, so by default, Java Virtual Machine provides the default access specifier. If you not put any access specifier, so it is by default a default access specifier. And here default access specifier is less restricted as compared to private, but it is more restricted as compared to public as well as protected. So here you can see that in the 2 cases it is yes. Means you can access inside the class, okay, and you can access within the package within the subclass. Otherwise, you cannot access outside of the package, and you cannot access outside of the package even in the case of inheritance. So if you see all these 4 access specifiers, so public is less secure, private is more secure, and then After public, the next is protected and then default. So private is private is the most secure access specifier, then default, followed by default, followed by protected, and then public. Public is the less secure access specifier. So this is all about the access specifier. Is there any confusion here? Okay, so generally access specifier, significance of access specifier, you can see in the case of inheritance. Now one more topic that is there in inheritance, that is the final keyword. Actually, we have discussed already the significance of this keyword and super keyword. Now the third keyword, that is final. So we have already discussed this super, and the third keyword is final. Just see the final significance of final keyword. Okay. Final keyword. So final keyword can be applied before the data, before the variable, means before the method and before the class. So if you put final keyword before the data or variable, means if I write final integer x equal to 3, suppose if I write this, integer x equal to 3, x is a variable and that is declared as final. So if you declare any variable as final, it means the value is final. Value is final means you cannot modify it. You cannot modify it. It behaves as a constant value. You cannot modify it. This is the final value. So if you put final before the variable, it means this is treated as a constant. You cannot modify it. Okay, so this is the first application of, this is the first use of final keyword. The another significance of another use of final keyword is you can put the final keyword before the method. You can put final before the method, means if I write final integer sum and suppose integer x and comma integer y, if I declare any method as final, so what does it mean? So actually final signifies that you cannot change it. Means if you declare any variable as final, it means you cannot change the value of variable. If you declare any method as final, it means you cannot modify the method. You cannot modify the method. Modify the method means when the method is modified, actually when there is a case where you need to modify the method. Can anyone tell what is
inheritance?
Inheritance. In the case of inheritance, means in the case of actually method overriding. In the case of method overriding, actually the child class or subclass modifies the already existing method. So it means if you declare any method as final, it means now you cannot override it. You cannot modify it. Okay. So what is the significance of declaring any method as final? So suppose there are two companies, A and B, and A build an API or package for a certain application. Suppose A build an API for machine learning application, for machine learning API, and B is another firm which also build an API. And suppose this API is open source. This is open source API. Open source means you can modify it. Okay, you can check the source code of it and you can modify it according to its own need. And suppose this is open source, but however it is open source, but actually this is the API of this particular firm, that is A. Suppose there is another firm C would also like to build its own API. So C can use the already existing API. So in this API, there are various classes are there. So C can use the already existing classes and try to build its own class by using inheritance and by using certain another object oriented methods. C tries to build its own API. तो अब ए कंपनी को क्या लगेगा, ए को लग रहा है नहीं यार ये मेथड ऐसा है कि हम चाह रहे हैं कि कोई दूसरा इसको ओवरराइड ना करे अपने हिसाब से. ओके, in that particular case A can build the method as final if A would like to fix this particular method. Means then no other child class can be able to modify it according to its own need. Okay, तो कभी कभी होता है कि कुछ APIs कुछ कंपनी वालों ने बनाई है, वो नहीं चाह रही है कि उनके फीचर्स को कोई मॉडिफाई कर पाए. यूज कर लीजिए, आप मॉडिफाई मत कर पाइए, या मॉडिफाई आप तभी करिए जिसकी हम इजाजत दे रहे हैं आपको मॉडिफाई करने के लिए. कुछ मेथड है उनको लग रहा है सिंपल आप मॉडिफाई करो यूज करो, लेकिन कुछ उनको लग रहा है कि नहीं इसको मॉडिफाई जैसे है इसी तरह यूज करिए. तो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस दैट मेथड शुड बी फाइनल. Similarly for the class also, means if the developer would like to make a class in such a way that no one can inherit it, no one class can inherit it. Means if you declare any class as final, it means now you cannot extend it. The final class cannot be extended. Final class cannot be extended. So what is the significance of final class if it is not extended? So the significance is you can use the final class, you can use the feature of final class by creating the object of final class. Means if you create the class as final, it means you can create the object of final class, and after the creation of object, you will be able to access the functionality of final class. You can use the feature, but you cannot extend the feature. Okay, if you declare any class as final. So this is the significance of final keyword. Okay, so this is all about the, I think I have covered most of the concept related to the inheritance, but inheritance is not over because there is another property of object oriented programming, that is polymorphism, which actually extends, you can say that which actually add some features in inheritance. Okay, this is the another concept of object oriented programming which takes the help of inheritance and provides some feature in Java, polymorphism. So I just again go to the whiteboard. Okay, so the topic is, the next feature of object oriented programming is polymorphism. Polymorphism. So what is polymorphism? So as the name suggests, it is the combination of poly plus morph. The meaning is polymorph is many form. Many, poly means many, morphism means forms. Okay, means if a particular entity performs, behave as a different form, behaves in a different form, so that is called as polymorphism. Any entity means, just take the example of method. Okay, because actually in a Java, in any class, actually there are two entities, one is data as well as method. So if you take the example of method here, so a same method can perform different tasks. अब ये तो हो नहीं सकता कि एक ही method different task perform करे. Okay, a method perform different types. You can say that suppose there is a method sum. It is integer x comma integer y. I just take an example. With the help of example, it is easy to understand. And another method, that is sum, integer x, integer y, and integer z. Suppose there is another method that add two number, float, that is declared as float x, float y. Here you can see that the method name is same, but it will perform different operation. The second will perform different operation. Different operation means different operation. However, the operation is same, but actually operation is performed on 3 parameters. Here the operation is performed on 2 parameters, and here the operation is performed on 2 parameters but of different type. Okay. So here, if a method behaves in different forms, so this is the example of polymorphism. Okay. Similarly, in the another case, suppose if I take the example of employee and manager. Manager is the child class of employee. Suppose there is a method in employee class that it gets salary method. So actually, when manager inherits the employee class, so it extends the get salary method. But here the manager override this get salary method. Override, why it override? Actually, it will return the basic salary as well as bonus also. But the get salary of employee only return the basic salary. It will only return the basic salary, but the get salary method of manager class return the basic salary plus bonus. Here you can see that the method name is same, but the definition part is different. Method definition change in child class, so this property is called as method overriding, while if this happen in the same class, so it is called as, means if the name of the method is same but the signature is different, signature of method is different, so this property is called as method overloading. So you can say that polymorphism can be achieved either by method overloading or by method overriding and method overloading. So polymorphism can be achieved with the help of method overloading as well as method overriding. So generally, we will discuss the concept of method overriding because it is little bit tricky. How method overloading feature is very simple. Why? Because if in a single class there are same method with different signature, so there is no problem. At the time of object creation, means after the object creation, if you call like this, if I take example of the method overloading, one thing. If I take the example of method overloading, means if a class, suppose there is a class math class, and in math class, suppose there is a method like integer sum, integer x, comma integer y, so it will return x plus y. Another method, suppose double sum, double x, comma integer y, here it will return x and y, it will return a double value. Suppose this is the class math. So if you create the object, of math class like this, math m equal to new math, and if you call m dot, okay, so actually when you call m dot and if you call sum, so now the question is which particular method is called. So actually as per the number of parameter, so suppose there are two parameter 2, 3. So as per the number of parameter, so basically there are two parameter in this particular case, there are two parameter in this particular case. Number of parameter is same. So if the number of parameter is same, so just try to see the data type of parameter. So here you can see that the data type is integer. So actually this particular method is called. Okay. So here it means this process is called as method calling. And when you call the method with the help of object, so actually this call is attached to the definition of method. It means method call is attached is attached or bind to method definition. So this process is called as binding of method call to method definition. Okay. And if this binding is decided at compile time, so it is called as compile time polymorphism. If it is decided at runtime, so it is called as runtime polymorphism. Which part means if you call the method, so this method call is attached to a method definition. Okay, so this is called as binding. So if the binding is decided at compile time, so it is called as compile time binding or compile time polymorphism. If the binding is decided at the runtime, so it is called as runtime polymorphism. Or okay, now so it means the first concept is polymorphism can be achieved with the help of either overloading or overriding. This is the first concept. The second concept is how many types of polymorphism? One is compile time polymorphism, and another one is runtime polymorphism. Compile time and runtime polymorphism. So in some book or some literature, actually compile time polymorphism is also called as static polymorphism. And runtime polymorphism is called as dynamic polymorphism. And dynamic polymorphism is also called as dynamic binding. Because the binding of method call to method definition is at runtime. And static polymorphism is also called as static binding. Okay. There is one more term. Static binding is also called as early binding. Why it is called as early binding? Before the execution of program, at compile time the binding is done. But if after the execution of after the compilation of program, if the binding happen, then it is called as late binding. Late binding. Actually, these are the terminology. So either if I call compile time polymorphism, it means static polymorphism, static binding, and early binding. If I call runtime polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism, dynamic binding, and late binding. Okay. Okay. Now, so the thing is, if there are two types of polymorphism, that is compile time and runtime polymorphism or static polymorphism, so it means if you overload and override the method, actually when the polymorphism occur, compile time or runtime polymorphism. So here, actually in Java, the object is created at runtime. Okay. ऑब्जेक्ट जो आपका क्रिएट हो रहा है वो रन टाइम पे होता है जावा में. Okay, object is created at runtime, and after the object creation means object is created at runtime. Okay, and after the object creation you can call the method. So it means the resolution of method calling means when the method call is attached to method definition. Actually it has happened after the creation of object. It means after the creation of object means at runtime. But if the method is static, and if you overload this method, if the method is static and if you overload this method, Actually, if the method is static, it means there is no need to create the object. And if there is no need to create the object, so actually this type of polymorphism is called as static polymorphism. Okay, static polymorphism. Now, come to the case of dynamic polymorphism, either in the case of method overloading and method overriding. So basically in the case of method overloading of a normal method, so after the creation of object, then only you can bind the method with the method call. So that is the example of runtime polymorphism. And another good example of runtime polymorphism is actually the method overriding. Okay, method overriding. Method overriding. So we have already discussed the method overriding. Method overriding actually occurs in the case of inheritance. Means a parent class is inherited by its child class, and child class extends the features of parent class by just reusing the features of parent class, by adding extra features in the child class, or by modifying its already existing methods. So either just copy the parent or modify the methods, already existing method, that is called modify the method, that is called as method overriding. Okay, overriding, sorry, riding, or extra method in the child class. So we have discussed method overriding in detail. So method overriding is the example of runtime polymorphism or dynamic binding or late binding. Acha, in actually Java interview, actually this question is popular. What is dynamic method dispatch? Dynamic method dispatch. Actually, this is also the runtime polymorphism. Dynamic method dispatch. Means dynamic method dispatch is similar to dynamic binding. Don't confuse with the terminology. Okay. So now come to the different cases of method overriding. Different cases of method overriding, that is interesting here. Different cases. Method overriding cases. Method overriding cases. So the first case is, suppose in the first case, that is very simple case, that is suppose this is the parent class and this is the child class, and in parent class there is a method m1, m2 and m3. In child class, suppose there is a method m1 and m4, and this child class extends the parent class. Okay, fine. Now, and if you create child c equal to new child, so if I ask you a question, if you would like to call the method of child class with the help of this c reference variable, so which method should be called with the help of c? C can call which method? C कौन सी मेथड को कॉल करेगा? Which method can be called by C? All are sleeping in the online class. Okay, just see it and then we will discuss the rest of the cases in hybrid mode class. I think you are not listening here. So C could be able to call here M4 because that M4 is the child class method. And since child class inherits the property of its parent class, so C can be able to access M2. C can be able to access M3. So M2 of parent, which is inherited, M3 of parent, which is inherited, M4 of child, which is inherited, and M1 of. Basically, this is the case where the decision should be taken at runtime, because M1 is already there in parent as well as in child, and this M1 is actually the overridden method. So M1 can be M1 definition of child is executed here. Okay, M1 of child is executed. There are two choices, either M1 of parent or M1 of child. But actually the child definition is different from the parent because this child method is overridden method. How it is decided? Actually, this is decided with the type of reference variable. Here you can see that new child means an object is created of which type? Object is of type child. Object is of type child, but the reference variable is also of type child. थोड़ा अजीब लग रहा है ना, रेफरेंस वेरिएबल भी तो उसी टाइप का होगा जिस टाइप का ऑब्जेक्ट होगा. नो, इन द केस ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस देयर इज a choice, another choice like this. Parent P can also refer to new child. Parent P can also be referred to new child. It means child object can also be referred by the parent class reference variable. So this is the another case. So we will discuss this case in the next hybrid class. Okay. Because there are four number of cases are there, 4 to 5 cases are there in the case of method overriding, and then typecasting. Okay, we will discuss. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I guess हमें